Om Vishnu Padaya Ashtatara Satisha Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Gaunitai Ki Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Shri Govinda Madhava Ki Kataraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Lord Balaram Rasayatra Ki Krishna Vasant Rasayatra Ki Shri Janananda Pandit Abhibhava Mahotsav Ki Jai Shri Bansi Vedanta Thakur Abhibhava Mahotsav Ki Jai Shri Hananji Ki Jai. Apparently it's appearance day today. We don't say Jayanti, that's reserved solely for Krishna. Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Grand, all glories to Sri Guru. I think I'm okay, because we can have a few books on display, one on display, on the table. Someone can take these catalogs. We will have a translation, I believe, into French. Who will be translating this morning? Excuse me? Does anyone like to translate? Or do we, is that generally the standard, I believe? Translation is easy. Translation or no translation? There's the priorities here.
You can see if anybody doesn't understand English.
Well, but then it goes on. I don't know.
Online.
It goes on. I don't know for sure. I know it goes online to English-speaking people quite a lot. But I don't think it goes online to French-speaking. So I'll just go ahead and someone can decide what to do. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 65, Text 1. We're reading out of order. So, what's happening? Just English? I'm not going to make the decision. I'll just go ahead. So this is the text number 1. The chapter is entitled Lord Balaram Visits Vrindavan. So we may ask, what are we discussing? What are we reading? This is not the chapter we're reading from in sequence. We are reading from
Lord Balaram Visits Vrindavan.
Yeah, but in sequence, what is the normal chapter? Yesterday, perhaps you read, no, yesterday was Prabhupada. The day before, a few days ago, anyway, whenever it was.
The killing of Putana.
Yes, the killing of Putana. So here we are, we've jumped forward. We've gone all the way forward now to Lord Balaram visiting Vrindavan. Why, of course, because today is a very special day. It's a special day. Now, Hridaya Chaitanya Prabhu is coming. I guess that is very special also. And many other reasons. But particularly, and I remember this very fondly, when I joined the Hare Krishna movement, it was just after Gaur Purnim festival. I was in the temple in Gaur Purnim. I went home and came back. And then there would have been Ram Navami, but I can't remember Ram Navami festival. But I do remember this festival of Balaram Rasayatra. And one of the reasons is probably because we all got a little bit drunk, if you want to call it that. Overindulged in what's called Varuni beverage. This is a liquid. We don't what do they call ferment? We don't ferment the honey. No, it's normally like fermented honey, which turns into like a liquor. which is very intoxicating. Now don't get some ideas here. I know some of you are looking for some sense gratification possibly, or some fun. But even if you don't ferment the honey, still the honey is very intoxicating when you drink. I remember one time in Auckland, New Zealand, there was one little girl named was Varshan. You know Julan Yatra's daughter? She's a big girl now. She probably got her own kids. I don't know. But she was a little girl, perhaps 4 years old. She used to go on book distribution from 4 years onwards on the street. Maybe 5. But she was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And she got absolutely intoxicated on the Varuni beverage. I'm not saying that was good or bad, but that's what happened. And the boys would be rolling on the floor. It was so ecstatic. I don't think that will happen today. But some Varuni beverage should be prepared to honor this festival of Lord Balaram. We have Balaram Appearance Day. And in one sense, this is, for Lord Balaram, this is the second festival of the year, isn't it? Lord Nityananda. But for Balaram himself, Balaram Rasayatra is really big. An important festival. Is also, is it called Krishna Vasant Rasayatra? Today is Purnima, and this is the end of the spring season. It's the 2 months of the spring. And so on the first day and the last day, there's also Rasayatra, Ras Leela taking place. Of course, this is a transcendental affair which goes on eternally, but it's specifically mentioned on this day. And today, well, I don't know, but maybe the management will inform. We may have a special class this evening on Shamananda Prabhu Pandit, depending which line you're in. His appearance day today. Very wonderful to hear about. It's also the appearance day of Vamsi Vadhan Thakur. We'll hear a bit about that possibly this evening. And Hanumanji we already heard on Ram Navami. So we will now go on to the verse. I think we're ready. Today we will be discussing Balaram Rasayatra. Now, Lord Balaram is now having his rasa dance behind the curtain, so we can't, maybe that's why they closed the curtain. And this is text number 1. Please repeat. Shri Shukavacha,
Shri Shukavacha,
Balabhadraha,
Balabhadraha,
Kurusheshta,
Kurusheshta,
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
Vatam,
Vatam,
Astitaha,
Ashitaha,
Surit,
Surit,
Itikshuhu,
Itikshuhu,
Utkantaha,
Utkantaha,
Ayayo,
Ayayo,
Nandagokulam,
Nandagokulam,
Shri Shukavacha,
Shri Shukavacha,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Bhagavan Ratamashita,
Bhagavan Ratamashita,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Ayayo Nandagokulam,
Ayayo Nandagokulam,
Shri Shukavacha,
Shri Shukavacha,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Bhagavan Ratam Astitaha,
Bhagavan Ratamashita,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Ayayo Nandagokulam,
Ayayo Nandagokulam,
Shri Shukavacha,
Shri Shukavacha,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Balabhadra Kurusheshta,
Bhagavan Ratamastitaha,
Bhagavan Ratamashita,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Surit Didrikshu Utkanta,
Ayayo Nandagokulam.
Ayayo Nandagokulam. Shri Shukavacha,
Shukovacha Balabhadra Kurusheshta Bhagavan Ratam Astitaha Surididrikshurudkanta Rayayo Nanda Gokulam Shishukovacha
Balabhadra Kurusheshta Bhagavan Ratamastitaha
Bhagavan Ratamastitaha Surididrikshurudkanta
Rayayo Nanda Gokulam
Rayayo Nanda Gokulam. Ladies. Shishukovacha
Balabhadra Kurusheshta
Balabhadra Kurusheshta Bhagavan Ratamastitaha Surididrikshurudkanta Prayayo Nanda Gokulam. Shri Shuko Uvacha. Sukadeva Goswami said, Balabhadraha, Lord Balaram, Kuru Shrestha, O best of the Kurus, King Parikshit. Maybe someone, if necessary, I see that Mice is becoming very good in English now. He's learning quickly. But if he needs a translation now at this stage, someone can give him a personal translation. If he wants. But he's getting very good. He's quickly learning English, I've noticed. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Ratam, on his chariot, Astitaha, mounted, Surit, his well-wishing friend, Didrikshuhu, wishing to see, Utkantaha, eager, Prayayo, traveled, Nanda Gokulam, to the cowherd village of Nanda Maharaj. Translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami said, O best of the Kurus, once Lord Balaram, eager to visit his well-wishing friends, mounted his chariot and traveled to New Gokul. Oh, excuse me. Why I said New Gokul? It's interesting. Nanda Gokul. Nanda Gokul. We'll leave that one. Nanda Gokul, the abode where Nanda Maharaj is residing with his family members and with the cows. The cows and Kula, his family base. But I don't think you'll find this in the French translation. It's not been translated. Chapter 65. If it is, I don't think it's been published. We'd be very happy if it's published. Let me know. We can distribute them.
No translation.
Well, it is translated, but it hasn't been printed yet.
You have some news.
No.
The printing press.
We're working on the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. Chitralila has already done the work on the word for word. And 12th canto and 10th canto work is to be done, but they're basically ready. So it's just 11th canto, and maybe Madhavendra Puri you may also be working on. It's between you and Narayani. I'm not involved. Discussing, yeah. There are various variables involved, unavoidable ones in this world. But we hope within a few years we'll have the remaining cantos in print. So the purport to this verse. So what's happening here? Balaram is going to leave Dwarka on his chariot, and is planning to go to Vrindavan. As you know, Krishna and Balaram left Vrindavan many, many years before. And for a long time, the residents of Vrindavan have been, what can we say, unbearable separation. I mean, Krishna spent a long time in Mathura. It wasn't just a day or two. Many years in Mathura. Is it not? Every year Jarasandha came to attack Mathura for 18 years. 18 times, huh? It says every year he attacked Mathura. So if that's so, that's already 18 years. Then he went to Dwarka. Well, they went to Dwarka. So more years. So whatever it is, it's a long time. In the purport, let's read. As Srila Jiva Goswami points out, Lord Balaram's journey to Sri Vrindavan is described in the Hari Vangsha, Vishnu Parva. Kasyachit atakalasya smitva sovita jagamaiko bhajang rama krishnasyanumate stitaha. Remembering the deep friendship he once enjoyed with the cowherd folk, Lord Ram. When you see Lord Ram, it means Lord Balaram. Lord Ram went alone to Vraj, having taken Lord Krishna's permission. The simple residents of Vrindavan were aggrieved that Lord Krishna had gone to live elsewhere. So Lord Balaram went there to console them. So there are many points here mentioned in other scriptures, not just in the Harivamsa or in the Gopal Champu or in the commentaries of the Acharyas on the Srimad Bhagavatam, which further explain or enlighten on these particular pastimes. We may mention, if Krishna gives us the remembrance or desires it, some of those points. Some we may read. But I'll finish the purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur addresses the question of why Lord Krishna, the great ocean of pure love, did not also go to Vraj. In explanation, the Acharya provides the following two verses. Preyasi prema vikyataha pitaravati vatsalo prema vashyasta krishnastangs chaktvana katam eshati iti matvaiva yadava Tvacha badnan hare kuto Vaja prema pravadisva lila dinatva miyushaha. The Yadus. Yadus, of course, are residing in Dwarka. the Yadus thought, the Lord's beloved girlfriends are famous for their pure, ecstatic love. And his parents are extremely affectionate toward him. Lord Krishna is controlled by pure love. So if he goes to see them, how will he be able to leave them and come back to us? He won't be able to leave. He'll be stuck in Vrindavan. You get that experience sometimes. You go somewhere. It's so nice you don't want to leave. You extend your stay. And you extend your stay. You don't want to go back. Just like when we leave New Mayapur. Huh? No, I went the wrong way around. Or when we come to New Mayapur. No. The other way around. Nobody wants to leave. You may have important business in some other part of the world, but no, I want to stay here in New Mayapur. Right? Yeah, see, Baladev. He doesn't want to go anywhere else in the creation. This is the spiritual world. The problem is, Vrindavan's not an easy place to live. New Mayapur is really Vrindavan. If you want the best, this is the best of the best place. So they were worried that he won't come back again. Because the love of the gopis, the love of Mother Yasoda, the coward boys, the cows, he won't be able to, unbearable. With this in mind, the Yadus prevented Lord Hari from going. They wouldn't let him go. Sometimes Mummy and Daddy also prevent you from going when you want to go somewhere, huh? They don't want you to go there. So this reason, of course, is transcendental. Knowing that he becomes subservient to the pastimes in which he reciprocates the ever-increasing love of the inhabitants of Vraj. So this subject is very deep, and we're not in a position, either by eligibility or even by time, to delve deeply into this. So we're going to go on to the actual subject of today's, the reason why we've chosen this chapter. So we're going to go straight there, and we love what we can actually, because I'll just go to the section dealing with the Lord Balaram's Rasa Yatra. And this is when Lord Balaram came to Vrindavan, everyone was very happy to see him. Lord Balaram was not very happy because he wasn't with Krishna. He said that Krishna is like his eye. He can't see properly if Krishna is not in the picture. But he had a service to do, you could say. Here we see the word console is mentioned, although it's described. No one could console the gopis other than Krishna. So to some degree, consolation was there. And he brought a message from Krishna to try to console the gopis and the residents of Braj. So although in one sense Balaram is non-different than Krishna, he's also different. difference in the gopis, although we hear how he performed rasa dance with the gopis. But the gopis who were consorting with Krishna in the Leela, they had no interest in anything but Krishna. There's no question of them dancing with Balaram or anyone else. Only Krishna. So for them, the message of Krishna had, to some extent, consoled them. That's as far as it went. It was really Krishna who alone could console their hearts, nobody else. However, we'll read this pastime and see where we go. So Balaram, he spent time with Nanda and Yasoda. They were, in one sense, very happy because he was also like their son. And they exchanged loving exchanges. He spent time with the cowherd boys. They say, enjoying pastimes with the cowherd boys, his friends. And then with the gopis, he read the message of Krishna. And then he heard them respond. And the intensity of their Krishna consciousness stunned Balaram. But that's another subject. Not another subject, but a subject in of itself. We don't really have time to read it. So we go to Lord Balaram now. Let's see, where should we start? We will read a little bit. Lord Balaram, of course, could understand the ecstatic feelings of the gopis. Therefore, he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal, and thus, treating the gopis very respectfully, he began to narrate the stories of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. To keep the gopis in Vrindavan satisfied, Lord Balaram stayed there continuously for 2 months, namely the months of Chaitra, which is March, April, and Vaishakha, April, May. He passed, for these 2 months, he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavan to satisfy their desire for conjugal love. So this is a very sensitive point. And Jiva Goswami describes that only fools would think that Balaram would dance with the same gopis that Krishna danced with. People debate this. He said they are simply fools who do not know what the actual subject, they don't know the actual subject at all. So we will read, don't get too worried, there's only another 20 books in there to come out. This is the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Sridhar Swami, he said, states, he's also quoting Sridhar Swami, states that the gopis who enjoyed conjugal affairs with Balaram during his visit to Gokul had not taken part in Krishna's rasa dance, being too young at the time. They were very young, you can imagine. Now, because time, one of the biggest problems, in one sense, in understanding or accepting, rather than understanding these topics, is time. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, knowing that our tendency is to measure things. Chronology, time, well, wait a minute. How is that possible? You know, we try to measure the time or the place or the distance. These things do not have a play or an effect on transcendence. Although there's some connection, we could say, with this world which is controlled by time, it's not controlled exactly by time. So sometimes there are subject matters, either in quantity or in, time measurement, which just don't make sense to a mundane, logical brain. Bewildering, perplexing, mythology. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that which can be measured is called Maya. So if you think you can measure these things, well, that's 18 years, 24. That means if they were young then, they're now 35 years old. We go into this whole trip, It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. But still, it said that they were appearing to be young at that age. They were not called to the rasa dance with Krishna. However, now it appears that those particular gopis will be having a rasa dance with Balaram. There's another group, and I don't know if it's mentioned here. We're finished past the third book. Yeah, here we go. Jiva Goswami says that during the pastime of Holi, and do you know when Holi is? Gopurnim Day. When Krishna, now there's another thing we don't usually mention, but Krishna killed a demon on that day. Who knows which demon?
On Gopurnim Day?
Yes, it was Gopurnim. Lord Chaitanya's appearance. We're talking of Krishna's pastimes now. 5,000 years on air, again, time measurement ago, they're eternal. To us it appears like 5,000 years ago. He killed a demon on that particular day. Which demon? Who knows? No, not to. Don't guess unless you know it. You won't get it. Sankachuda. He killed a demon named Sankachuda. You remember that pastime? Anyone remember that pastime from Krishna book? Chris?
Balaram and Krishna went in the forest to dance with the gopis. I think this one. Then Sankachuda appears and start driving the gopis away and behaving as their husband.
Well done.
Krishna catch him and punch him.
Yeah. Killed him. It was short. It's only a short, brief story. A very brief, short story. But what the essence of that is that Krishna and Balaram went into the forest on that day, Purnim also, and they were enjoying pastimes with the gopis. Now, what does that mean? They both went. So it's explained, let me see if it goes on to explain here. Yep, it does. So that was on Gopurnima Day when that demon came and drove the gopis away. And as Chris said, Balaram, they called for Krishna, the gopis called for Krishna and Balaram, save us, save us. And Krishna and Balaram responded to their call, but Balaram stayed back to protect the gopis, well, Krishna, they both ran after Sankachuta, who then stopped driving them and ran for his life. And then Balaram stayed with the gopis to protect them, and Krishna went on and killed the demon, who was running away. So, seems like they're both in, this is a weird situation, isn't it? They're both enjoying the same gopis? No. Baladev was getting word there. Or maybe he was getting excited, I don't know.
I tried to measure from my mind.
Yeah, trying to measure it. It was not the same gopis. And here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the gopis Balaram enjoyed with were different from the ones Krishna enjoyed with. So there's two kinds here. One, the young ones who didn't participate in any Rasa Leela up to the time when Balaram returned to Vrindavan. And other ones who are Balarams. He has his own gopis. You don't hear much about that. That's interesting, because normally we see Balaram not so much in the Madhurya Ras, but he has his own gopis. Interesting. Huh? Say no more. So those were the gopis who were dancing for these 2 months every night with Balaram. It wasn't Krishna's gopis. Different group. In the company of numerous women. Quite get there yet, didn't we? Let's go back a little bit. Back to the Krishna book. So he was dancing every night, it says here. And thus Balaram enjoyed, since the season was springtime, the breeze on the bank of the Yamuna was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially the flower known as Komudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere. And thus the banks of the Yamuna appeared very bright and pleasing. And Lord Balaram enjoyed the company of the gopis there. Spring is always a very pleasing season, isn't it? Supposed to be. Supposed to be a very invigorating, and you feel fresh, and maybe it invokes sensual desires also between boys and girls and so on. But there's a very perfect arrangement was there. So at that time, the demigod known as Varuna sent his daughter Varuni. And she transformed. Don't think Balaram married a bottle of honey. He sent his daughter Varuni in the form of liquid honey, oozing from the hollows of the trees. Because of this honey, it's said that they were Kadamba trees, actually. Kadamba trees. Because of this honey, the whole forest became aromatic. The word aromatic in French also. Very beautiful fragrance, very beautiful smell. And the sweet aroma of the liquid honey, Varuni, captivated Balaramaji. Balaramaji and all the gopis became very much attracted by the taste of the Varuni, and all of them drank it together. It's a special day for Baladev today. Make sure Namachari gets plenty of Varuni beverage. Keep him happy. You can dance with Sarabi and Gomati. Nobody else. Okay? Gunga's too old. While drinking this natural beverage, all the gopis chanted the glories of Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram felt very happy, as if he had become intoxicated by drinking that Varuni beverage. His eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude. He was decorated with long garlands of forest flowers, and the whole situation appeared to be a great function of happiness because of this transcendental bliss. Nothing can exist in this material world unless it is in the spiritual world. The intoxication of this world is very sinful as well as very detrimental to spiritual life, binding, and so many negatives it is. But people, they are very much inclined to intoxication of various kinds, as they are inclined to sex life and other various kinds of sense gratification. In the spiritual realm, there is even, although it's totally transcendental, for the pastime of pleasure, the reservoir of pleasure. So there is also this natural beverage which has this effect on the Lord. He doesn't depend on it. It's part of the pastime. It's serving the Lord, bringing him pleasure. Everything there brings pleasure to the Lord. His eyes rolled. Lord Balaram smiled beautifully. The drops of perspiration decorating his face appeared like soothing morning dew. Although in the Bhagavatam it is described that it is like beautiful snowflakes. If you ever look at a snowflake, it is, when you just see them falling, you may not see, but if you look at them closely, they're extremely beautiful, isn't it? Sparkling, and so symmetric, beautiful designs, and the light shines, colors shining off of them. The sweat, the drops of perspiration on Lord Balaram were just like, you can imagine, like sometimes you decorate the Lord with, or Radharani with, or the gopis with little shining jewels, huh? Giving off the light. Very beautiful. So this perspiration was like that. Very, very attractive. Everything was so attractive. Everything was organized, arranged. But ultimately, in one sense, Balaram is behind all of these organizations too. He provides the facilitating for the pastimes of the spiritual world also. So whatever way we look at it, it was a gorgeous scene. Everything was perfectly arranged for the pleasure of all. While Balaram was in that happy mood, he desired to enjoy the company of the gopis in the water of the Yamuna. You know, it's normal, isn't it? If you happen to be by a body of water, you like to go in the water, and it's funny how you get pleasure from that, isn't it? In one sense, nothing really is why you get pleasure from it. It's mystifying. But you do. You feel pleasure. It's there in the spiritual realm. Balaram, Krishna, they love to have water sports, huh? In the rivers, the oceans, and so on. But Balaram wanted to enjoy. Let's go in the river and enjoy into the Jamuna. So now the pastime really gets interesting. Therefore, he called the Yamuna to come nearby. He was, you know, sometimes, like me, I'm too lazy. When I want something, I tell someone, bring it here. I'm too lazy to go and get it. So Balaram, you know, intoxicated with pride, Balaram, Yamuna thought this fellow's drunk. This fellow's puffed up, proud. What's he doing calling me? If he wants to come here, he can come here, but I'm not going to go there. He wants to come and bathe in me, you have to do the work. Don't ask me to come there. So this may be a mentality sometimes we may also have. Oh, well, if you want this, you come here. What are you asking me? As we have that mentality. So Jamuna had that mentality. That's described, I think, in Gopal Champu somewhere. Lord Balaram, or rather Yamuna, neglected the order of Balaram, considering him intoxicated. Lord Balaram became very much displeased at the Yamuna's neglecting his order. He immediately wanted to scratch the land near the river with his plowshare. It's all past. I mean, it was meant to happen anyway, but this is the pastime, how it happened. Lord Balaram has two weapons. What are the two weapons? We all know, I think everybody knows his two weapons. And his plow. His plow and his club. From which he takes service when they are required. This time he wanted to bring the Yamuna by force, and he took the help of his plow. He wanted to punish the Yamuna because she did not come in obedience to his order. He addressed the Yamuna. You wretched river! Imagine calling the Yamuna a wretched river. Balaram can do that. We cannot. You wretched river! You did not care for my order? Now I shall teach you a lesson. You did not come to me voluntarily. Now with the help of my plough I shall force you to come. I shall divide you into hundreds of scattered streams. Pretty heavy, huh? Well, that Jamuna, you may remember, also it's mentioned earlier in the Bhagavatam, how Krishna married Kalindi. Kalindi is actually, who is Kalindi? Also Jamuna. She's the original Jamuna. And it said this Jamuna, who Balaram is pulling here, is a shadow of the original Kalindi. Not the original Kalindi. Shadow. It's Jamuna, but a shadow. The real Kalindi, real Jamuna, is married to Krishna. When the Jamuna was threatened like this, she became greatly afraid of the power of Balaram, and immediately came in person, falling at his lotus feet and praying thus: My dear Balaram, you are the most powerful personality. You are pleasing to everyone. She came to her senses. Sometimes we need a chastisement to come to our senses. Is it? Sometimes. We forget. We think that we're the enjoyer, that we're the center. Sometimes we need a little chastisement. So she was chastised heavily by Balaram. She came to her senses, and she was afraid. And we get afraid. If we're actually devoted, we may become afraid when we get chastised. If we're not, we'll go away. Many times people leave when they get chastised, or they argue back, or they try to justify their situation, or just ignore it, not realizing how Krishna's hand is working. Unfortunately, I forgot your glorious exalted position, but now I have come to my senses, and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion of Shesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe. My dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are full with 6 opulences, because I forgot your omnipotence. I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. Basic thing, because we've forgotten Krishna's greatness. We are offenders, and we are thus in this material world. But my dear Lord, please know that I am a soul surrendered unto you. I am very affectionate to your devotees. Therefore, please excuse my impotence and mistakes, and by your causeless mercy, may you now release me. So she's teaching us also what to do if we do make that error of judgment and behave in that proud, offensive way. Not mentioned here, but Lord Balaram has 2 wives. Who knows who they are? You know everything. Anybody who doesn't know everything knows something. Revati. Revati. You know Revati very well. Not the wife, but you know her very well. Is she here?
No.
Not today. Where is she? In Clermont-Ferrand?
No, she's in the city.
So Revati is famous wife of Balaram, and not so famous wife, but also related to this pastime. And you didn't hear what Madhavendra Puri said. I didn't hear what he said anyway. Who was the other wife?
Varuni.
Varuni. I mentioned earlier. She is not that Lord Balaram is walking around with a pot of honey. He might also be, but it's not that his wife is who. Why are you always with that pot of honey? That's my wife. I have a very sweet wife. She never argues back. She never asks for anything. Very nice wife. Pot of honey. But you won't get any reproduction there. Maybe we'll get some more honey, I don't know. So Varuni is also the consort, these 2. So Varuna sent his daughter Varuni really just to become the consort of Lord Balarama. She's his eternal wife. So the old pastimes. When the Lord appears in other forms, he also appears to be his consort. Upon displaying this submissive attitude, the Yamuna was forgiven. And when she came nearby, Lord Balaram enjoyed the pleasure of swimming in her waters. She came, offered her service. Lord Balaram was very happy. Along with the gopis, in the same way that an elephant enjoys himself along with his many she-elephants. After a long time, when Lord Balaram had enjoyed to his full satisfaction, he came out of the water, and immediately a goddess of fortune offered him a nice blue garment and a valuable necklace made of gold. Now that is mentioned possibly here. It's in the Bhagavatam. Time to jump backwards and forwards. See. Some of you have been to Braj Mandal Parikrama. Who's been on Braj Mandal Parikrama? Braj Mandal with Lokanath Maharaj's wonderful Braj Mandal Parikrama party. Who's been to that? Of course, Sundar Gopal Prabhu has been. You've been on the whole Parikrama, Gaurangi?
Huh?
Braj Mandal Parikrama. Have you been on Braj Mandal Parikrama?
Of course.
The whole Parikrama? All around?
I don't know.
So there's one place on that Parikrama. It's near Chiragat. It's called. North of Bandiraban, where Lord Balaram went to perform his Rasa Leela on this occasion. North of what we call, if we're losing dimensions, north of what we call present-day Vrindavan. It's Koshi is a town some distance away.
Near the bank of the Yamuna.
It's right near, you're right there. It's near the, that was near the bank of the Jamuna. Who knows what it's called? Sri Ramgat. It's very near Chirgat. There's different ghats there. And Sri Ramgat. There, you go there on the prick. I don't know now. I haven't been for a few years, but It's where Lord Balaram performed his Leela with the gopis, his gopis. And you'll go there, you'll see there are a lot of snake charmers there. To this day, they got their cobras coming out the pots, and the effects you're supposed to, you're afraid the snake will bite you if you don't give a donation. They kind of put these donation pots there, and you're kind of afraid if you don't put a donation in. Okay. I don't know if they do or don't, I hope not. But, generally you put a donation in the pot, just to make sure. Sri Ram Ghat, that's where the pastime took place, in a beautiful garden there besides the Jamuna, which we already heard a bit of the description just now. I may have to go to the Bhagavatam, I haven't marked it. Where it is. Let's see if we can find it.
That's also a place where the water is very shallow, because Balaram dug the Yamuna.
The plough. Thank you, very good point. Very shallow. Very wide also. Very wide and shallow. Beautiful place. Let's see. We'll read here. Here we go. So she was trembling when she spoke. According to Jiva Goswami, this goddess who appeared before, that's the Lord, that's nice, it's mentioned here. She's an expansion of Srimati Kalindi, one of the Lord's queens in Dwarka. Jiva Goswami calls her a shadow. This is referring to the Jamuna who came to Balaram. Calls her a shadow of Kalindi. And Vishwanath Chakravarti confirms that she is an expansion and not Kalindi herself. Jiva Goswami also gives evidence from the Harivamsa that goddess Yamuna is the wife of the ocean. So, two things. This particular goddess of Yamuna that comes is the wife of the ocean. The Harivamsa therefore also refers to her as Sagarangana. And then this goddess who came at this point of time, the Lord played in the water to his full satisfaction. And when he came out, goddess Kanti, another goddess named Kanti, presented him with blue garments, precious ornaments, and a brilliant necklace. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes from the Vishnu Purana to show that the goddess Kanti mentioned here is actually Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune. Sent by Varuna, goddess Lakshmi then presented him with a garland of unfading lotuses and a pair of garments coloured blue like the ocean. The great Bhagavatam commentator Srila Sridhar Swami also quotes the following statement from Sri Harivamsa, spoken by goddess Lakshmi to Lord Balaram. She said, "O Lord, please accept as divine ornaments for your ears this single gold earring studded with diamonds and this primeval lotus called Padma. Kindly accept them, for this act of adornment is traditional." Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further points out that goddess Lakshmi is the consort of the Lord's plenary expansion, Sankarshan, who belongs to the second viewer. So she's actually also his consort. And we'll just finish off a little bit from the Krishna book. Lord Balaram's complexion is white, and when he was properly dressed, he looked exactly like the white elephant of King Indra. And the name of the elephant? Airavata. The river Yamuna still has many small branches due to being scratched by the plowshare of Lord Balaram. And all these branches of the river Yamuna still glorify the omnipotence of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram and the gopis enjoyed transcendental pastimes together every night for 2 months. And time passed so quickly that all those nights appeared to be only one night. In the presence of Lord Balaram, all the gopis and other inhabitants of Vrindavan became as cheerful as they had been before in the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 65th chapter of Krishna. Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. Jai. Balaram Rasayatra ki jai.
Jai.
So, any questions or comments? Balaradev.
We realize that Yamuna made a little mistake, and she was very hardly chastised by Balaram. And I make much more mistake, and I am not so much chastised. So,
Namacharya?
I will take bigger stick, Maharaj.
What was in your court? Pardon?
I will take bigger stick.
Bigger stick, okay. He's taller than you.
So means it looks like the higher you are elevated in consciousness, the bigger is the punishment.
Well, it sometimes appears like that. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated this on probably many occasions. He was extremely heavy, for instance, on Tamal Krishna Maharaj or Harikesh. Prabhupada would chastise him very heavily. Sometimes for the same reason. He wouldn't chastise another devotee. They were the same cause, you could say. He wouldn't chastise them at all. He would either ignore it or even praise them. We had that example, and Shruti Kirti Prabhu tells that story of the Karnadakshai Prabhu. He's a young boy then. He was 12 years old. His father was initiated by Prabhupada. He was also initiated by Prabhupada. His mother was initiated. His brother, his whole family were initiated. But Karna was about 12 years old, maybe 13. He wanted to cook for Prabhupada. He was trained by his mother to some extent, no doubt. She was excellent cook for Prabhupada. And so Shruti Kirti gave him permission to cook. He told Prabhupada that, cooking. So he cooked the lunch, and then Shruti Kirti brought the lunch in, and the Prabhupada honoured his lunch. Then ding, 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 the bell was ringing. After a few minutes, and Shruti Kirti came in, wanted something more or what. Prabhupada said, "Who cooked this?" And he said, "Karnadakshai Prabhu." Call him in. The chapatis were burned, the rice was uncooked, the dal was completely unspiced, the sabjis were all incompatible with each other and almost tasteless, and everything was wrong. So Prabhupada said, "Call him in." And Prabhupada said to Karnadakshai, "Did you cook the lunch today?" "Yes, Prabhupada." "Very nice, thank you very, very much." The boy was naturally very inspired and very happy, and went out the room. Ding, ding, ding. Shruti Kirti came. He thought he was going to get the sauce, but he didn't. Prabhupada encouraged the boy. Then in came Shruti Kirti, and Prabhupada said, "You nonsense rascal. This is your fault." He gave him the left, right and centre sauce. "You are responsible for this. Okay, the boy can cook, but you have to make sure he cooks properly." He chastised Shruti Kirti. And he didn't usually Shruti Kirti was not chastised very often. But he would be there, Tamal Krishna, he would give Tamal Krishna as heavy chastisement. Yes, what is appropriate to encourage? It's like you don't chastise a baby, do you? You nonsense, you passing air. What is this? Passing stool in your pants, you rascal. But maybe you would if the boy's 12 years old or something. You might, if he's normal, you might say, "What's going on here?" You know what I mean? So yes, you're right, time and circumstance. The time comes, and their chastisements comes in other ways. Don't worry. It may not come in the same way, but when the necessary is there, you do. You don't get praised, or you don't get what you wanted, or you start feeling, challenge, mental challenge, or whatever it is, if it doesn't come from direct direction. It comes in other ways when the time is right. Realization sometimes, sometimes it comes through realization too. But sooner or later it will happen. In this case, of course, Yamuna this is Gokul Vrindavan. Everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure, so it's part of the pastime. Everything was part of enjoying the pastime, relishing the pastime. Otherwise we wouldn't know, there would be no pastime to read, you wouldn't have asked a question, there would be no thought there. So all these pastimes have many reasons, If there were no such pastimes, it wouldn't be very exciting. Krishna's pastimes are full of adventure, full of excitement. Anything else?
Is it Tulasi who take care of the pastime of Balaram?
Pardon?
Is it Tulasi Devi who take care of the pastime of Balaram?
Does she take care of Balaram's pastimes, Tulsi Devi? Not to my knowledge. They all have their parts to play in various aspects of the pastimes. Lord Balaram has his own. No doubt she's involved. There's no mention there. Certainly Varuni is there, being the Lord's consort. She's certainly making arrangements. Maybe Vrindadevi is also working various wonders there behind the scene to arrange beautiful flower arrangements. Yeah, why not? Why not indeed? Sometimes you hear this, sometimes you hear that. They're all like when you make the beautiful flower arrangements here, many devotees come, maybe one's masterminding it, but many devotees are involved in various aspects, making the arrangements on the altar or in the temple room. For the pleasure of the Lord, it's like on Ram Navami, beautiful arrangements on the altar were made.
It's a small pastime of Balaram's reciprocating. Maybe some devotees heard this pastime. Ashisha Prabhu, you know Ashisha in the south? One day, when he was in New Manipur, I heard a story from him, I think actually, that he thought, Balaram has got always the same prasadam. Let me cook a very wonderful sweet rice for Balaram. Here, this deities. So he cooked the offering. He cooked a very nice sweet rice, and then it was during class or some. So they offered the plate, and the curtains were closed, and they heard a big sound, bang, 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 And when the pujari went in, Lord Balaram's gada had fallen, and on the Govardhan Shila who jumped in the sweet rice.
Oh my goodness. The club, Lord Balaram's club, fell from his hand, down, hit the Govardhan Shila, one of the Shila, and the Shila jumped into the pot of sweet rice, which was on the altar being offered to Lord Balaram. That's an interesting pastime. Any commentary on that? Pardon? I don't know what there was. The Pujari must have been quite shocked. So Giriraj had an unusual abhishek that day. Abhishek or Govardhan Shila, whatever Shila it was. An interesting abhishek. Bathing in sweet rice, nectar. Must have been really good sweet rice. So we hope there'll be some Varuni beverage today. If someone can put the word into the cook or whoever it is. Baladev would definitely be, don't be late for the lunch. Otherwise you won't be able to dance very well out there in the fields with Surabi and Gomata. You have to, maybe they won't take. They don't take it though, do they? They don't drink. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mantrashna Bhagavatam ki jai. Go Premanandi.
Janananda